Okay, a little bit of hip action today. Loosen up that pelvis. So I want to start with some breath work, but we can also like tag team it. I'm like, emotionally, can I handle this pose right now? Oh yeah. Okay. So let's start in double pigeon. You might want to have pillows or blocks handy. A wall might be helpful to lean up against if you need that support. But we are going to start with the right foot on the bottom. So it's really important to have both feet flexed for this. That's going to protect the knees. And you're essentially going to set this shin down parallel to the edge of your mat. And you're going to line up the center of your shin, so halfway between the knee and the heel, with the center of your chest. Okay? So it's a straight line across. And then you're going to flex the other foot and set that foot on top of the knee. So you're stacking your shin on top of your shin, okay? A lot of times, I swear to God, no matter how much I prompt this, there's always like 6 people with this foot way back here. We're not doing a twist, okay? None of this stuff. We are going to hell and back with double pigeon. And we're going there right off the bat. So get that foot forward, parallel to the front of your mat with your shin, okay? If you're not sure what parallel means, it is right next to, like in line with. The other heel comes on top. Now, some of you are going to look like this. Some of you are going to have flat shin on top of shin. And nothing is right or wrong. And it changes day to day, changes during the day. So if you feel like you need support here, it just feels like it doesn't feel like you can soften your glutes and your lower abdomen and your pelvic floor and all the muscles at the top of the thigh. If it feels like you're, oh God, hanging on for dear life, grab a block, grab a pillow, and prop yourself up in any way that you need to in order to be able to soften into this pose, okay? We are looking for a place where we feel safe, confident, and comfortable being for a few minutes and breathing. Get my watch on so I can keep track of how long we're here, so I don't just like wander off on a yoga tangent and 10 minutes later you're like, can we get out of this pose now? So you're looking for the place where you feel like you can soften. And if you're feeling this in your low back, it's feeling challenging to sit up, then come up against a wall or some hard substance so that you can use that wall for support on your back. And if you're like me and you've got really high knees up off the ground, but you feel like, oh, I can soften into this, then you don't need the props. The props are there just so that you can find a place to breathe. Because that's what we're here to do, in all honesty. So we're going to start off with just some anxiety breath work, some nervous system regulation. It's my favorite breath exercise, and it's one that I do typically once a day, if not twice. And then, you know, those moments of panic throughout the day. So what that looks like is we're going to have a long inhale and a long exhale, but that inhale is going to be broken up into 2 parts. And we're going to take the inhale about 2/3 and pause. And then we're going to sip in that last third of air, pause, and then a nice long exhale. Some people like to do this really like breath of fire. And I would say, if you're in need of a lot of energy and uplift, then you're welcome to do it as kind of a little like Lamaze sounding, breath of fire-ish. I personally like to do it as a long, slow 2-part inhale, a long, slow exhale. You're welcome to try it any way that you like and modify it to suit your needs. But we are going to do that. I've already been chit-chatting away for a while here, so we're going to do it briefly on this side, and then we're going to do it longer on the other side. So we're going to be here let's just say for 2 minutes, and then we'll swap. So at your own pace, just close your eyes, find a softness in your body. Again, we're looking for being able to drop into the pelvis, but still stay tall through our spine. And we just break up that inhale. Again, we inhale 2/3, pause, inhale that last third, pause, and then exhale. And the exhale can be out through the mouth or out through the nose, whatever works for you. One more rounds of breath here. We're going to slowly back out of this pose just by picking up that top foot and setting it down in front of you. Lengthen it out. Take the other foot, lengthen it out. Lean back into your hands and just give the legs a little gentle inward and outward rock. And let's take a kind of semi-wide-legged forward fold here. So you're going to go like hip width and then just maybe like, I don't know, 10 centimeters, 4 inches wider on each side. And we're going to sit nice and tall. Think about leading with your belly button. So it's as if your belly button's reaching for your toes. Take that as far forward as you can. And then melt down. Let the head drop. And again, we're looking for softness to come into the body. And just have a normal breath here, but awareness in your breath. So nice slow inhale, nice slow exhale. Using that exhale to really soften a little bit more into the pose. From here, slowly roll up and we'll swap sides so that left foot will flex. We'll set that down, again, halfway between the heel and the knee, lines up with the center of our chest. We take the other foot on top of the knee and we're stacking shin on top of shin, heel on top of knee, knee on top of heel. Now, sides are always different. We are not symmetrical beings. So this side might be very different from the other side, and that's totally fine. You might feel it in a different place. For me, I feel this in very different places between the two sides. Again, you want to see, can I soften down? Can I drop into my lower body? Can I find softness and release, or am I hanging on? Do I need to go up against something? Do I need to find a prop for support? And then we're going to come back to that two-part breath. So we inhale 2/3, pause, inhale that last third, pause, and then a long exhale. Again, this can be as fast or as slow as feels appropriate in your body today. One more deep breaths here. Slowly releasing. This time, instead of taking the legs wide, or taking the legs long, let's take them wide and just windshield wiper the legs side to side. And then let's take them long again into that slightly wider than hip width. I don't know what to call that. Forward fold position. And we'll fold forward. So again, as we fold forward, I want you to think about the head coming forward or even the shoulders and heart coming forward. So you think of your belly button leading you forward and then the rest of the body follows. Now I find that having a breath focus, especially in longer held poses, helps the poses go by faster. Also helps my brain not wander off into la la land. So if that is helpful for you, you might want to continue on with the same breath that we started with, or come into just an aware inhale and exhale where you're maybe counting to keep the inhale and exhale the same length, or to maybe even have the exhale a little bit longer than the inhale. Whatever works for you. Using your arms to roll you up. And we're going to come into butterfly position. And a nice open butterfly, so it's not a tight pulled in butterfly, it's a yin butterfly. So you want the arches of your feet to theoretically be a resting place for your forehead. So if you were to be able to hinge flat forward and rest your forehead in the arches of the feet, they would be perfectly aligned for that. So again, we lead with our belly button coming forward as far as we can. I do like to release control in this pose and turn my palms up. Otherwise, I find that we have a tendency to grab hold of the feet and like the shoulders come up and we pull ourselves into the pose. So it's good to just remind ourselves that we are resting into this pose. We're looking for softness. We're looking for more space. Really letting the head drop so that it tractions out the spine. And if you find that that's uncomfortable in any way, you can always bring a block or some support in under the forehead. Slowly use your hands to walk yourself up. Sitting up tall for a moment, take a couple deep breaths. Okay, so something I've been playing with is I usually love to go from this pose into a straddle. But I've been playing with the idea of continuing to go through the low back and then down the sides of the legs. And that has been feeling really amazing. So I'm gonna have you take your left leg forward and you're gonna internally rotate that leg. So not from the foot, but from the upper thigh. You might even lift up that left butt cheek and slide it out to kind of intensify that internal rotation. And then this right foot is just going to come over to lock that internal rotation in place. So the right leg is kind of just hanging out like you would hanging out at a friend's house. And then you're going to just slightly turn yourself to the left so that you're looking at that right foot. And then you're going to bend down over top of that right foot. So I'm trying to bring my forehead towards the arch of the foot or towards the top of the ankle. And you're going to feel this in many places probably. We're trying to get it through maybe the low back, the outer glute, down the outer leg, or through the outer edges of your hamstrings. I feel this for some reason on this leg, on my inner arch of the foot, more than I feel it anywhere else. So it's definitely opening up some nerve lines, which is the beautiful thing about yin yoga, is that we are working within the meridians of the body. So we're essentially giving ourselves an acupuncture session every time we do this. You will definitely notice increased chi flow, energy after a yin session for sure. Again, just try to let the head hang as much as possible, let the shoulders relax. slowly rolling up, unwinding. And then we'll take the right leg, internally rotate it from that hip socket, lock it in with the left foot, turn to face that left foot, and then dropping down. And on this side, you might feel it in a completely different place. I wouldn't even know it was the same body. Difference between these two sides for me. So coming back to your breath, finding softness everywhere that you can. Rolling up, unwinding, little shake. We're gonna move into a little bit of a back bend quad stretch. I like extra support. I'm gonna grab some pillows to put under my belly for this pose. You're gonna come onto your belly and Sphinx. Now you may need a strap or a towel for this if your quads are a little on the tight side. If your quads are extra loose, you might need to actually bring your elbows up onto a bolster or onto some blocks. So we start off in Sphinx. And you're just going to bend that right knee. Now, as we do this, you want to watch for the knee trying to scooch out to the side. It likes to sneak out there. We really want to try to keep the knee right in line with the hip and the hip pushing down, okay? So as we move through this, I want you to think about the right hip moving down, the right rib cage moving forward, the right shoulder moving forward. We bend the knee, and we reach back with that right hand and grab hold. Now again, you might need a strap or a towel for this. And you're gonna start to pull that foot towards you. Again, if you're extra bendy, you might even be able to loop it into the inside of the elbow. As we come into this, you'll notice my hip started to lift up. I leaned over to the left. So now I drive the right thigh and hip down and take the right shoulder forward. And just that act, I'm not pulling the foot any more than it was 2 seconds ago, but it's the act of moving the right hip down and the right rib cage forward intensifies this stretch like tenfold. So it really is about alignment when we come into a lot of these poses. Just recommit to that right hip, pushing down with the hip and the thigh, reach back through your knees. So think about extending your right knee towards the back of your mat. We're going to spend just a couple more breaths here. Gently releasing the foot. Come back center and just relax for a second. Wiggle the hips side to side. And then bend that left knee, reach back with the left hand, grab hold, start to pull it towards your hip as much as feels comfortable. And then you're going to lean into that left hip, send the left ribcage forward, press the left thigh and hip bone down, and reach back through the left knee. Recommit to that left hip, pressing down, lengthen through the left knee as if you're reaching for the back of your mat. Gently releasing that foot, bringing it back down. Wiggle the legs out. Bring the hands under the shoulders. Press into your knees, lift your butt, lead with your butt up. And then take it into a momentary downward facing dog. You want to feel as if someone's got a hold of your hips and they're pulling you up and back, tractioning you up and away from your rib cage. Full deep breaths here. Breathing into the whole torso. Down onto your knees. And then taking yourself into Shavasana. In this case, I'm going to make use of these pillows that I've got to put under my knees. You can also always just take a block on its side and put it under each knee. It's also a really lovely way to do it if you don't have the pillows or a bolster. Getting yourself comfy and warm, blanket if you need it, an eye pillow if you'd like it. And take a couple deep, conscious breaths here, maybe even a couple rounds of that 2-part breath that we started with. I just want to have you rest and release into the floor. And just be very aware of where you're touching the floor. I want you to feel the weight of your body resting on the floor. Allowing yourself to be held and supported. And just say to yourself, I am safe. I am protected. I am supported. I am provided for. Maybe you need to deepen your breath, bringing your awareness back into your physical body. Pulling your fingers and your toes, arms and legs, and a stretch. Getting your knees, rolling over onto your side. Swing yourself back up to seated. Sitting up nice and tall. Taking a couple more deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Hands together at your heart center. Take a moment to thank your body for all of its amazingness, all of the wonderful things it does for you. And forgiving it for all of its perceived flaws, all the things that we wish it did for us that it doesn't do or can't do, maybe never did, or just doesn't do anymore. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.